Hello and welcome back to Walk the Cinema podcast. Today's episode we will be discussing F for Fake. So F for Fake, we decided to do this one, I guess, which is, a little weird considering that it's not Orson Welles' big movie,
Right.
with Citizen Kane, but you watched this movie a couple years ago and you were really moved by it, I think.
I wasn't moved. I just thought it was great and funny and entertaining and very Orson Welles, which is what I like.
Well, why don't you give a little brief description of it, because I think it's a little bit hard to describe.
I suppose it's a documentary for the most part. He says that, he will not lie to you for the next hour. And the movie's an hour and 28 or 29 minutes, so he lies to you for the last half an hour. So that part's not documentary.
Mm-hmm. But what is it about, specifically? It's a documentary.
Well, it's about fakery and trickery, right? He has a magician with him. He does, magic tricks to open the movie. He also goes into art forgery, right? One of the most infamous art fakers ever in Elmire.
Mm-hmm. And Elmire's biographer, right?
Yeah, which he's also
faked that story, too.
Yeah, he fakes the story, he fakes people.
So it's just kind of... I don't know if I would say it's a commentary on how, all art is fake. But it makes it all real as well. You know what I mean?
Well, he comments a lot that if this guy makes fakes that are so good that people think they're originals, is there any difference? Are they not as pretty as the original? Do they not require as much talent?
Right.
So there's no fake art. There's just imitation.
Yeah, but it does feel fake when you're being ingenuine about it, you know?
Well, for the documentary, the footage we see, he burns everything that he fakes, and he talks about how he wants to sell his own originals.
But he says, a picture by him wouldn't get him nearly as much money as a picture by him, but with Picasso's name on it, or a Monet's name on it, or... I don't remember exactly which artist he faked the most. I don't think it was either of them, though. Maybe Picasso.
I don't think he did a lot of Picasso. But that doesn't matter, because that's not the point. I don't think there's even a point. I think this is just Orson Welles having a lot of fun, because that seemed fun. He's, flantering his girlfriend.
Right.
What?
The girlfriend thing. I just find it interesting that, in his personal life, he was still married to... I forget her name, but he had a wife in the United States, and he was living... Well, he spent some of his time in France, I think, and that's where he had his girlfriend, and they made this movie kind of together, because I think she's credited as a writer or maybe an uncredited director. I don't remember exactly, but they, this movie came out in 78?
3?
I think it was later than that, because his wife didn't find out that he was dating his girlfriend until several years after this movie came out. 73, okay. Then, yeah. She didn't find out about them until a little later, which I find weird. I'm like, did you not look at his movies? Was he not flaunting?
I'm gonna ignore that because he's great and fun and...
Well, I don't think it needs to be ignored. You can say that, yeah, he was probably not the best husband or partner, but he still made...
That doesn't matter to me. I didn't sleep in his bed.
Right.
I just think he's freaking great as an artist. And he's so captivating. When he's talking, you pay attention.
That is true. He does have a very good voice. His voice sounds good, which is why I think he was really successful in the radio business before he got his movie stuff taken off, you know?
Well, his movies were never, like, truly successful.
Well, at the time, yeah, but I'm saying, like, he still had a pretty successful career before he was given pretty much complete creative freedom to do things like Citizen Kane.
He's done so much that it's kind of crazy. And he does everything he wants. There was even I guess it's a story that's in a documentary. Maybe it's real. Maybe it's for the documentary that he was casted in Jodorowsky's Dune. That never happened. So that's kind of a crazy story to me. It just shows how much he can do. Like the variety of things he could do. But I think this is the most Orson Welles of them. This is him just... I guess he's telling his story, but not really.
Well, it has interlaying cuts of him talking to Elms and the author guy whose name is Irving, right? It has scenes of him talking to them explaining their history, and then it has cuts of Orson Welles in like an editing room, I guess.
I don't know if he was there recording with Elmire and his biographer. Like, we never see him together. We see Welles with the girlfriend. Not his girlfriend, but, you know, the girl that got arrested too. She was also a faker, I guess. The blonde girl. Yeah. Her story doesn't get too in depth.
No, but it's definitely very interesting because you'll see the scenes of Elmire and then Orson kind of giving some context to some things sometimes, and kind of giving commentary as the movie goes on, which is kind of interesting.
And it's really not edited like a documentary or anything like that. It's not very easy to follow, which doesn't really matter because you're there for like the little gags and the Orson Wellesism of it. You wouldn't watch this for a true documentary on art forgery and fakery and fraud.
No, I think it goes kind of beyond that, but I do think it still kind of deals with fakery because it's funny that you mention Jodorowsky.
Yeah.
Because The Holy Mountain came out the same year as this. And I feel like as I was watching F for Fake, they had very similar themes, I guess. Obviously taken in very different ways, because Jodorowsky has a lot of imagery and symbolism that I doubt even he fully grasps what he was trying to do, but it has like the same energy, I guess, especially that end scene where in The Holy Mountain, which we talked about on a previous episode, if you want to go check that one out, at the end when they get to the top of the mountain where the gods were supposed to be, they're just mannequins, and then they're all sitting at the table and he addresses the fourth wall, and then everything zooms out and he's like, look at this, it's all a joke, we're all, whatever. And then the same thing happens in F for Fake with Orson Welles, where after we've spent this 30 minutes talking about his girlfriend's grandfather faking Picasso paintings and Picasso painting her in his old age, like, Orson Welles is also like, I got you, I was just joking for the last 30 minutes. And then it's all, everyone, the camera's zooming around to different people that were in on the joke. They're waving at the camera, they're laughing. And it's all, it had very similar...
Yeah, they do break the fourth wall. But Orson breaks the fourth wall in the beginning as well.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying that, like, those two movies came out in the same year, and I assume that they were kind of friends, if they
Yeah, I guess.
You know, so I
don't know him personally, but
I guess it's either a coincidence that they both kind of took these same type of reject false icons and critique, I guess, on fakery, or
it's a critique on
anticritique
experts as well.
Yeah, because it's like without experts, you wouldn't have fakes.
Yeah, there's no true expertise.
Yeah.
Because you're still a man. You still have your opinions and your bias. So, does it matter that there's people that qualify things as good and other things as bad or fake?
Yeah, so I feel like they're very similar movies now that I think about it for a longer period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird because they're both very different from each other.
Especially visually.
Yeah. I'd say visually it's probably the most... They have the most differences there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's definitely makes you think.
We like thinking.
Yeah, right.
He makes a lot of points that I guess do cross if you're really analyzing it, but I don't think they're related movies.
Well, obviously they're not related movies. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, don't defend yourself so hard. I'm sorry, gee.
But I just feel like you're missing the point.
I'm not missing the point.
I'm not saying that they're connected. I'm just saying that they deal with similar ideas. Because in Holy Mountain, it's about, kind of rejecting these ideals that symbolize something that you can't be.
Right.
And I feel like it's the same thing with F for Fake, where you're idolizing the experts' opinions. We have all these museums that are filled with art.
Yeah, fake art.
And they could all potentially be fake art because, I mean, at the pretty close to the beginning of F for Fake, I forget who he painted a picture of, but the actual artist was like, yeah, that's 100% my painting. I painted that.
Yeah.
And it was not, he did not.
Yeah.
So it's like being an expert at something really doesn't mean anything.
Being the person that did it, you can't even tell the difference. So how would an expert do that?
Exactly.
And the experts are the ones that create the value. And they create, the recognition. Because if a lot of experts agree that this is good, then we kind of just accept that it's good.
Art is very subjective. It's not... I mean, obviously, I think that they're in the art community. And I mean, I haven't really taken an art class in a while, but there are certain styles and techniques that make it good within that style. Like techniques that you use in order to create something visually appealing within the style. But when you have some of these styles that are being made by these people, how do you determine if it's good or not? Or how do you determine if something's unoriginal? I think that they focused on Picasso for a while because he was kind of the most recent artist that was alive.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he died before this came out, but
he was the master.
Yeah.
That at the time that was alive. Like now we maybe would focus on Banksy or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Someone that's very recognizable and it's contemporary.
Yeah, but Picasso was like their artist of the time. Like he was alive for a majority of those people's lives,
Mm-hmm.
He was the artist at the time, which is crazy to think about because when I think about Picasso, I think of like somebody that is a historical art person, but he died in the 70s, so it's...
Yes, because most art
weird.
that gets studied, like painting-wise and drawings, and they're always a little older because you go through movements, right?
Right.
And once you reach Picasso, I guess sometimes it doesn't completely settle on your ideology that it's a more modern artist that was alive not that long ago.
Yeah, I guess so. But I feel like this movie definitely was interesting.
It's fun.
I
It
can
really is fun. It's funny too. Like I laughed a lot at it.
I think it's definitely a passion project. Like, you can kind of see that this was something that Orson Welles really wanted to do, and he did it to his best ability. Like, I think some of his movies that he's done are kind of obviously not passion projects.
Right. He has a lot of passion projects though.
Yeah, he does, but
He's done a lot of Shakespeare.
Yeah, those are pretty passion projects.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, I can't remember the name of the one that we watched
The
a while.
Stranger?
Yeah, I don't feel like that's a passion project, but
I mean, it's alright.
yeah, but I don't, you know.
It's still like Orson Welles playing a Nazi. Like, I love him. I don't know. He's just so
He's a
unafraid, I guess. Because he was already cast out by Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, the people in Hollywood didn't want to have him around because he was young and brass and he didn't care about others and he came from radio, so people just thought he was kind of a hack and didn't respect him, so he had nothing to lose. And that's why he could play a Nazi and he could just do all of his movies with foreign production companies and have his affair as the main character of his documentary.
Yeah, I mean, all your points make sense. He was kind of, I think, at the point where I have nothing to lose. I have everything to gain.
Yeah, might as well have fun with it.
Yeah.
Might as well do what you want. And I don't know, he worked a lot. And he worked in a lot at the same time. So he has a lot of projects that kind of just left halfway through.
Mm.
He has a lot of unfinished stuff. But the stuff he does finish is always like at least worth watching. Like even his trailers, people enjoy.
Yeah.
And like write reviews about a trailer because they're so uniquely his.
Watching this movie made me think that Orson Welles and Jack Black, at least on a visual level, are the same.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
They just look so similar.
Yeah, but they don't.
They do, though. If you put a picture of Jack Black, old as he is now, and Orson Welles, circa 1973, they look the same.
They don't look the same. You're crazy.
So this is my campaign for if there's ever an Orson Welles biopic, Black is... I want Jack Black as the old version of Orson Welles.
How about the guy that played him in Mank?
See, I feel like the guy that played him in Mank is so forgettable that I don't even remember.
That's some bullcrap. He looks exactly like him. I've had conversations with people on Twitter, and so they're like shocked, and they have to like double take when he shows up in Mank. Mm-hmm. And I agree. I think he looks exactly like him, and he talks like him. Well, I think the talking they use old recordings.
I mean, probably. Why wouldn't you? He's not a big character in Mank, so. Well, I guess to kind of wrap this up, what did you give it?
Doesn't matter what I gave it. Is art something we can rate? Isn't that the point? We can't rate art.
Right, but that's what we do on our channels. So.
Yeah, but if you had to rate it, I'll give it a 10 out of 10.
Right.
Right. But you don't rate art.
I gave it an 8 out of 10 because it was entertaining, but, I do think, like, I don't know. My enjoyment of movies sometimes isn't correlated to how artistic something is, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Where I just don't enjoy art pieces as movies.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
It's kind of like The Holy Mountain.
Right.
I know we've mentioned it before, but I feel like that is pretty accurate comparison. Like, I feel like The Holy Mountain is an art movement, an art piece in and of itself, but I don't think I like them necessarily in the movie format. And I feel like the same for Fate.
You want to watch a better narrative?
Kind of. I think that's more along my lines of...
Okay, well, the next episodes are going to be the Oscar highlights.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about Best Picture nominations, probably. We're probably going to be talking about all the Best Picture nominations. And those are probably going to be more narrative. You'll have more fun with that.
Maybe.
I mean, I know there will be more narrative. We've seen most of them.
But you'll have to wait for those, so tune in next time. And we'll see you later.